The 2016 NHL Entry Draft has concluded. I know I am a few days late. This is a video that I had been wanting to make for a while, but I actually spent the draft with a few friends discussing things and whatnot, and I really just haven't been around to making this video. So this is the Canucks 2016 NHL Entry Draft recap video that I'm doing. Of course, these are all based on my personal opinions and things that I've seen online, opinions that I've formulated myself, and just things that I think will come out of this draft. Now, the 5th overall selection, the Vancouver Canucks draft pick that has been hyped up. It was all over their YouTube channel, their Facebook, their Twitter. It was over every social media the Canucks had. And with this pick, everybody, including myself, was thinking that the Cape Breton Screaming Eagles center left winger Pierre-Luc Dubois would fall to 5th overall and the Canucks would be able to snatch him up. Nope, instead he gets drafted 3rd overall by Columbus. Jesse Puljujarvi drops to number 4, and Edmonton gets another amazing stud of a player. But when it comes to the Canucks at 5th overall, they had a few choices. They had Sergachev, Yeo Levy, and Matthew Tkachuk, who was the big one that everybody was telling Benning, get this guy, Matthew Tkachuk is the guy that we want. But Benning gets up there, he says, from the London Knights, and I was thinking to myself when this was happening, it's going to be Tkachuk. But then he says Olli Juolevi, and my friends in the Skype call freak out, but I'm like, guys, it's okay, we got the best defenseman in the draft. That's still a pretty good pick. Matthew Tkachuk, of course, he goes 6th overall to Calgary, but I do understand why Benning wanted to take Yeo Levy instead of moving down. The big complaint here was, why didn't he move down to get Yeo Levy and get something else instead of taking Yeo Levy at 5? Well, I believe the general idea going around was that Calgary wanted Yeo Levy as well, so Benning was like, no, I want Yeo Levy for my team, so I'm gonna take him at 5. And that's who the Canucks got. They got themselves a guy who plays very, very well. There were a few reports earlier in the year saying that he's NHL ready now, but really I think that at 185 pounds, he's still got a little bit more physical maturity to go through. He has a great offensive game, and really he said himself that the biggest part of his game that he wants to expand on is his two-way game. Right now he's got fantastic offensive abilities, of course playing for that London Knights team that was just magnificent. And really, I don't know when we'll be able to see Yeo Levy in a Canucks uniform. For sure, we'll see him in the preseason this year, but I don't know if he'll make the team full-time this year or next season. But if it's not this season, it'll be next season, because I think by then he'll be physically mature enough, unless, of course, he has an absolute monster of a summer and gains 15 pounds of muscle, which is unrealistic. Going down to the 3rd round, the Canucks select William Lockwood out of the U.S. National Development Program in the USHL. This guy, 64th overall, he's a right winger who was playing with the U.S. development team on the 2nd or 3rd line, something like that. I heard that he didn't have that much top-line minutes, but he was still able to get 33 points in 59 games. That's, that's pretty decent for a 2nd or 3rd liner, but of course, this is the USDP league. USDP team, actually. They play against teams from the USHL, I believe, but of course, that's not going to directly translate into NHL success, but he's a guy who was ranked in the 70s by TSN and Bob McKenzie and all that, but the Canucks took him a bit earlier at 64th overall. I really don't know too much about him, but looking at him, I think that this next season that he's going to have with the University of Michigan is going to be really important for his development, because University of Michigan is proven to have good players. You got recently Dylan Larkin coming out of there. You got Zach Werenski. You got these big guys who are going to have NHL success. And William Lockwood, he's a short guy, 5'10", 172 pounds. He's got some physical maturity to go through, but really, I'm just excited to see what this guy, 3rd round pick by the Vancouver Canucks, will be able to bring to the table. Plus, he has a pretty darn cool name, William Lockwood. Next up, we have defenseman Cole Candela playing for a weak Hamilton Bulldogs team. He was able to get 20 points in 37 games this season. He was a -12, and the Hamilton Bulldogs really weren't that good of a team this year, but taken in the 5th round by Vancouver. This guy, I watched a little bit of his highlights. He's got a big, booming slap shot. His shots, you can just see the windup and everything. It's just so pristine, and the power behind each shot. He only had 4 goals in 37 games as a defenseman, but I mean, just watching what he does on the ice, it's incredible to see just how well this guy can hit the puck towards the net. And really, he's an Ontario kid, good old Ontario kid. He's a bit more physically mature than a lot of these other guys that they got. He's 190, 6'1", and he was drafted at about the place that he was projected to go at. I think he was fairly surprised that he was drafted. I think I just saw something about that recently. But he's got an interesting name, Cole Candela. Don't really know too much about him, but he's set for the Hamilton Bulldogs this upcoming season. I don't know, maybe he'll play a preseason game or two in the Canucks uniform in this upcoming September, but Cole Candela is a guy who has assets to become a good defenseman in the NHL, but of course he's a 5th round draft pick. The odds of that are leaning towards the likes of not. Next up, we got ourselves Jacob Stuckel, a 19-year-old hometown boy from Surrey. He's 182, 6 feet, and the thing about Stuckel is that he was playing for the Giants for quite some time now. He had 12 games played and 4 points with the Giants this year before getting traded to the Calgary Hitmen, before he just started lighting things up. 56 points in 57 games this season with the Hitmen after that trade that sent him there. And, you know, he's an overager technically. He's above his draft year, should have gotten drafted last year, but 16 points in 49 games wasn't enough to get it done. But this guy, 19 years of age, drafted a year after his draft year, 6th round, 154th overall by the Canucks. I like those numbers, you know, I like 32, 22, 56 in 57 games. I like those numbers, especially the fact that he's a hometown kid. The only interesting part is, what kind of Canadian from Surrey has a kid named Jacob Stuckel, where the Jacob is spelt with a K, huh? I thought it was European when I first saw it, but I was like, oh, he's from Surrey. Anyways, he's a guy who I'm going to be looking forward to, because he should be a little bit more developed than any of the other guys that they got, because he is 19 years old, and he has had that extra year of experience down there in the junior leagues. So, Jacob Stuckel is a guy I'm looking forward to. Let's move on to the next pick, Rodrigo Apples. He is a guy who I had my eye on for quite some time. When I saw the Canucks picked him up in the 7th round, I was like, wait, wasn't he supposed to go earlier? He's 20 years old right now. He was born on January 5th, 1996, so this is actually 2 years removed from his draft year. But the thing that's interesting about Apples, and probably the reason why he even got drafted in the first place, is because he already has that professional experience. Before he started playing with the Portland Winterhawks this season, where he got 49 points in 62 games, he played with Dynamo Riga in the KHL, the Latvian team, because he is a Latvian himself. 5 points in 14 games played with the Dynamo Riga in the 2014-15 season. That is fairly, I don't know. He was 18 at the time. Gets drafted into the WHL, I believe, in the import draft, starts playing for Portland, and all of a sudden, here he is at 20 years old, getting drafted in the 7th round by the Vancouver Canucks at 184. He could turn out to be a real diamond in the rough, because he will most likely play for the Comets next year, replacing Ronald Kennens, who was just announced to be sent away via unrestricted free agency. So replace one Latvian with another Latvian. Rodrigo Apples is a guy who I think could be a good AHLer. If he does develop well, he could get a shot at the NHL, but at 20 years old, that's kind of questionable. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen. Our final draft pick that the Canucks had was also in the 7th round, 194th overall. Bret McKenzie from the North Bay Battalion. He spent 3 years with this team. He's 19 years old, and his most recent season, 66 games played, 53 points. A lot of people were saying that this center right here is basically a Kyle Pettit clone. Kyle Pettit is the guy who won the most defensive forward in the OHL in his conference last season, I believe. He was drafted by Vancouver also in the 7th round, or maybe it was the 5th round, I have no idea, but Kyle Pettit is a two-way center, and Brett McKenzie, I believe he is a two-way center as well, so a lot of Canucks fans were disappointed with this pick because I believe Ty Ronning was still available, and everyone was like, yeah, we should pick Ty Ronning, Cliff Ronning's son, Cliff Ronning, the great Vancouver Canuck, but instead we pick Brett McKenzie, who does have some potential. He is 19. He put up some pretty decent numbers, but he was in his +1 year because he is 19. 53 points in 66 games as a two-way forward. It's okay, especially the fact that he's in the OHL. That kind of changes things up a bit, but regardless, this is an okay pick, especially for the 7th round. I don't think anybody is really complaining about this pick. And with that, that basically sums up the Vancouver Canucks draft class of 2016. We got ourselves Olli Juolevi, William Lockwood, Cole Kendall, Jacob Stuckel, Rodrigo Apples, and Brett McKenzie. Those are your 6 new Vancouver Canucks from the 2016 NHL Entry Draft. This video is a bit late, I apologize for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. For repulsing to knowledge control, so like and not subscribe last night and gaming. By the way, guys, I'm perfectly fine with the Yeo Levy pick. I'm perfectly fine with that. And bye.